And thank you, Dario, for setting this up. We really believe in the Solutions Report and have really enjoyed being part of it and part of the selection panel this year. It was just fantastic. So as I was introduced, I'm an academic. I am a political scientist. And my current title is Assistant Professor in Innovation, Development, and Purpose. And I can't think of three words more wonderful to put together. What is innovation? What is development without purpose? And it's a real pleasure to be at a place that sees these three elements as combined. So I'm based at the Institute for Innovation and Public Purpose at University College London, which really focuses on government, governance, and public service. And I also continue to teach at the Said Business School at Oxford, which of course is focused on business leaders. So I look at both innovation from a private and public sector point of view, which throw up different questions. But I'll speak mostly about IIPP's work. As Dario said, thank you very much. The head of the Institute, the founder of the Institute, is Mariana Mazzucato, and her work, her sort of mission so far, has been about reasserting the state's role in attacking grand challenges and in innovation. And she sees a lot of the issues with the state, or how we think about the state, as bedded in old economic thinking, and so she's challenging that and really trying to celebrate the state. She often talks about the iPhone. Everything that we love about the iPhone started out with government innovation and government investment, from GPS to the internet, right? So we need to remember these stories and bring them back and really think about innovation as political. We have that written across our tote bags that we all carry around. Innovation is political. And so I take that to having sort of four elements or four meanings. So the first is that innovation comes out of systems. Innovation is different from invention. An invention is a new gizmo, is a new thing. Innovation, we usually talk about once it's been adopted, once it's entered society. So there's lots of invention that's going on. So there's a world of what's technically feasible. And then there's a world within that of what's socially acceptable. And then within that is an even smaller circle of what's economically viable. And the state is interacting or dealing with all these sides. It's helping to invest in what's technologically feasible. It's helping to think about what's ethical, what's right, why we care about it, what's socially acceptable. And then through things like procurement, investment, taxation, subsidies, it's saying what's actually economically viable in the market. So there's market shaping going on. And so we need to be thinking about states, and we need to be thinking about innovation systems. So innovation is political because it's held within this much more complex system. The corollary to that, or the addition to that, is that because it's political, we get to shape it. This is public policy. This is elected officials, right? This is being involved. So this idea of saying that innovation is political is saying that this is not something that's neutral, that comes out of the air, and that just is inevitable. No, we are part of this. So we get to talk about the direction of innovation, what we want, where we want innovation to go. Jeff was just talking, Professor Sachs was just talking about, well, if we get rid of subsidies, if we get rid of, if we regulate in different ways, it drives markets, it drives innovation in new ways. So I'm also a political scientist, so I have to say that saying innovation is political also has to do with the fact that outcomes reflect power. So right now I'm very interested in what SDGs companies are actually acting on, and you can look at the figures of where's money going amongst the SDGs. So there's some that have had a lot of action, a lot of attention, and some that have had very little action and very little attention. And so in the reality of the SDGs has to do with that power of corporations to make those decisions, the power of governments to make those decisions, which again can feel disempowering if people high above or big corporations are saying, this is where we want to spend, or this is where we want to invest. But again, the corollary to that is that power has not only to do with money, but has a lot to do with ideas and norms. what we see as socially acceptable, what we see as the right way to be, where we want our future to go. There's a wonderful concept called norm entrepreneurs. So people who take ideas and spread ideas. And I often talk to my business school students about that. Yes, you want to be an entrepreneur. Yes, you want to start a new business, but also think about yourself as a norm entrepreneur. You're also moving ideas across borders, moving ideas across organizations. So just to conclude, we take these ideas and we put them into practice. We study them through research. We do a lot of work on climate action through the EU and Climate Kick. Like I said, we do a lot of our impact comes through teaching. We've got a new Masters in Public Administration program where we're trying to train the next generation of civil servants. And we're saying, your job is about innovation. Your job is about creativity. We want to take bureaucracy from being a dirty word to being something exciting and vital, to remind ourselves of this history of the most important innovations or some of the most important investments coming from the state. I also teach on tech for impact at the business school, and there I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm trying to have a little bit more critical thinking, a little bit more systems thinking in. There's what we call the FIRE model. You think you drop a laptop into a community or you drop a gizmo into somewhere and that creates change. You hook up someone to the internet and that creates prosperity. And everything that academic research says right now is actually it has a lot to do with the infrastructures around it. You know, a laptop is only good if someone can read the language of the internet and charge up that laptop. If there's connectivity, there's issues around inequality, but I think I've already exceeded my time by 20 seconds. So I just want to come back to this beat. Innovation is political. We need to be thinking about power, but we also need to be thinking about ideas, and that's why this kind of education, this kind of work is so important. Thank you.